New York City, 1900. The harbor glows beneath a rising sun. Ships from Europe drift through fog, heavy with hope and desperation. Among the sea of tired faces stands one man, Giosuè Gallucci, a dreamer from Naples. He steps onto Ellis Island with nothing but a worn coat and sharp eyes. Around him, thousands chase the promise of America. But Gallucci sees something different. He doesn't just want a piece of the dream. He wants to own it. He settles in East Harlem, a place of narrow streets, shouting vendors, and crowded apartments. Life is harsh, jobs are scarce. But where others see poverty, Gallucci sees opportunity. He opens a bakery, then an ice shop, then another business, each one a doorway, each one a mask. Behind those doors, his empire is already beginning to rise. East Harlem, 1905. The streets no longer shimmer with hope. They echo with footsteps and whispers. Giosuè Gallucci's bakery still sells bread by day, but by night, its back door becomes the gateway to his growing empire. The illegal numbers game, the Italian lottery, spreads through tenements like wildfire. A few coins from every dream, all flowing into Gallucci's hands. But money isn't enough. He wants protection. He wants influence. And so he looks upward toward Tammany Hall, New York's political machine. Votes become his new currency. He delivers them by the hundreds, immigrants who trust him, fear him, or both. Politicians repay him in silence. Police look away. His rivals vanish without a trace. Under the glow of gas lamps and the hum of streetcars, one man becomes untouchable. The poor call him Il Re di Harlem, the King of Harlem. And behind every deal, every handshake, every smile, the city grows darker. By 1910, Giosuè Gallucci had become something rare in Harlem. A man both feared and admired. He no longer needed to hide in shadows. He walked the streets like royalty. Gold rings, silk waistcoat, diamond studs that caught the light like secrets. To the newspapers, he was a successful Italian businessman. To the church, a generous donor. And to his people, a quiet savior, the man who got things done. But beneath the polished surface, the same darkness still moved. Deals were made over espresso and whispers. Debts were collected with smiles instead of threats. He didn't need to raise his voice. His name did the work. Those who respected him prospered. Those who crossed him were never seen again. He had mastered the art of power. Calm, invisible, and absolute. Yet behind the calm eyes of the gentleman lived the ghost of the man he used to be. But power never sleeps. And in Harlem, every king has his hunters. By 1912, cracks began to form in Giosuè Gallucci's empire. The Black Hand gangs demanded tribute. The Camorra from Brooklyn wanted a share of his profits. Even some of his own men began to whisper in back alleys. The city that once bowed to him started to turn. One night, his brother Gennaro was found face down in their bakery, shot twice in the back. The scent of bread mixed with blood. For Gallucci, it wasn't just murder. It was a message. He struck back hard. Retaliation in every corner of Harlem. Enemies vanished, shops burned, and fear returned to the streets. But every bullet he fired cost him something he could never buy back: loyalty. Even his allies began to question the king who once smiled through silk and gold. And in the silence that followed, the air of Harlem grew heavy. Something was breaking. After months of blood and fire, Harlem grew quiet again. The smoke cleared, the bodies buried, and the king of Harlem still stood. But something in Giosuè Gallucci had changed. He no longer trusted anyone, not his lieutenants, not his allies, not even the men who smiled at him in church. The empire he built now felt like a prison. Each day he walked slower. Each night he checked his doors twice. The phone rang too often. The whispers lasted too long. His protection from Tammany Hall began to fade. New politicians rose, and old favors were forgotten. The city's power had shifted, and Gallucci was yesterday's king. He told a friend quietly, "I know they will get me." The streets he once owned now watched him in silence. And for the first time in years, Giosuè Gallucci felt fear. May 17, 1915. A quiet morning in East Harlem. The streets glisten with last night's rain, the smell of espresso drifting through the air. Giosuè Gallucci walks beside his son, Luca, 18 years old, sharp suit, same calm eyes as his father. They talk about small things, business, church, the price of coffee. Nothing unusual, but in his heart, Gallucci knows. He had said it before. "I know they will get me." They enter a small cafe on East 109th Street, a place he's visited 100 times. The air is warm, the morning quiet. He nods to the owner, sits at his usual corner table. Two men enter moments later, well-dressed, polite, Italian. They greet him softly. He returns the smile. Then, 6 shots. The first breaks the silence like glass. The second knocks over the table. Luca falls instantly. Gallucci, hit in the chest, grabs his son, trying to speak. Coffee spills across the floor, mixing with blood. Outside, the city carries on, unaware that the King of Harlem is dying in a cafe. He's rushed to Bellevue Hospital, barely conscious. Detectives press him for names. He whispers only one line, "I'll settle it myself." 3 days later, Giosuè Gallucci, the King of Little Italy, is dead. When the king died, Harlem stood still. Word spread fast. The baker, the businessman, the boss was gone. And on the day of his funeral, thousands came to see him one last time. 800 carriages filled the streets, men in black coats, women weeping behind lace veils. The sound of horses echoed between the tenements. To the poor, Giosuè Gallucci had been a protector. To the powerful, a problem finally solved. But to everyone watching that procession, he was a legend passing into myth. Reporters called it the grandest funeral Harlem has ever seen. The line stretched for blocks, candles, flowers, whispers in Italian. But behind the spectacle, a secret truth lay hidden. The empire he built, the one everyone feared, was gone. No hidden fortune, no gold, only $3,402 and a single tenement building on East 109th Street. The king had left behind only smoke, stories, and silence. After Giosuè Gallucci's death, Harlem changed forever. The man who once ruled its streets left a vacuum, and into that vacuum, chaos poured. His rivals, the Mafia and the Camorra, erupted into a bloody war that consumed the city. Dozens died in the years that followed. The newspapers called it the Mafia-Camorra War. It was Gallucci's empire turned battlefield. And yet, with all the blood that followed, no one ever replaced him. No one ruled Harlem like the king did. But power built on fear never lasts. Within weeks, his businesses closed. His so-called allies turned away. The politicians who once shook his hand forgot his name. When his estate was opened, the myth crumbled. No gold, no secret accounts, just a few $1,000, a small property, and a legacy written in rumors. Still, even as the years passed, people whispered his name. To some, he was a villain, to others, a visionary, and to history, a shadow that still walks the cobblestones of Harlem. Because men like Giosuè Gallucci don't just live, they haunt. He came with nothing. He built an empire from smoke, and in the end, he taught the world a truth it never forgets. Power fades, but stories endure. Giosuè Gallucci's story isn't just about crime. It's about ambition, about the endless climb for power, and the fall that always waits at the top. He came to America with nothing, and for a moment, he had everything: money, influence, fear, but not peace. He built walls of loyalty, but not love. He ruled a city, but never his own heart. And when the lights went out, his empire vanished like smoke. His funeral filled the streets, but his name faded faster than the rain that fell that day. History forgot the man, but it never forgets the lesson, because every empire built on fear is destined to crumble, and every man who rises without kindness falls without forgiveness. Giosuè Gallucci was both a warning and a mirror, a reflection of what power can give and what it always takes away. He was a king once, but in the end, just another shadow walking down Harlem streets. And sometimes it's the quiet ones, the ones who never shout, who leave the loudest echoes in time.